I was saying, Joy Taylor, every dog has its day. And since I'm a big dog, I've got 2 days.
Okay.
So now.
You just called yourself a dog?
Yeah, I'm a dog. Yeah, I'm a big dog, a big one.
Kevin Durant is 6'11", who can pull up from 40. Okay. This brother is on that level. I'm talking about offensively.
Do you think you're better than Jarrell Revis is right now?
I'm better than you.
Welcome to episode 49 of the Lowdown Podcast, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Mark Brown, as always, and I'm getting straight to the point once more because we're moving towards the baseball side of things today. This episode is a Major League Baseball podcast, and I have a special guest. His name is Kyle Glaser. He's a national writer for Baseball America. He knows the ins and outs of Major League Baseball, college baseball, anything that has to do with baseball. Kyle Glaser is the go-to source, and I was just very glad to have him on the show because he's going to be basically breaking down his predictions of spring 2020 training, which is coming up next Friday, February 21st. And we'll also dive in and talk about the trades between the Dodgers and the Red Sox, you know, like the Mookie Betts trade, if it's finalized or not, because as of now, it's not official, like not 100% official, but chances are that it's a done deal. And if he goes to the Dodgers, there's going to be a lot of noise going on in the LA area. And we also talk about the Houston Astros. We talk about the Colorado Rockies. Plenty of teams that have gone through a lot of trades. And so the season will be here much sooner than you think. I mean, think about it. Spring training's already almost here, just a little bit over a week left until then. So, yeah, my interview with Kyle is very, very entertaining. Definitely check it out.
And we're live in the phone lines, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the Lowdown Podcast. I'm your host, Mark Brown, as always. I have a special guest on the show. This time, we're going to be talking some baseball because spring training for 2020 is coming up real soon. Not this week, but the end of next week, starting on February 20th or 21st, one of those days. And I have a Major League Baseball, just a baseball expert as a whole. His name is Kyle Glaser, and he's a national writer for Baseball America. He knows the ins and outs of baseball, so he's definitely the go-to source when it comes to Major League Baseball, college baseball, anything baseball. So, Kyle, I just wanted to say welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Oh, anytime. And then I noticed it's been a pretty busy few weeks for you guys because I noticed like there's been some noise going on in Major League Baseball offseason because, I mean, most baseball fans have already heard the news about Mookie Betts going to the Dodgers. And, so there's big trade between the Dodgers and the Red Sox. So how are you feeling about the David Price and the Mookie Betts trade?
Yeah, it's funny. The original trade that went out was a very clear win for the Dodgers and kind of a head shaker for the Red Sox. This readjusted deal that's reportedly been agreed to, although we have to note it's not official yet, so things can still change. I actually think this adjusted deal is much, much better for the Red Sox. I also think it's actually a little better for the Dodgers, too. First and foremost, the Red Sox. Before getting Alex Verdugo, Brusdar Graterol, it was, Verdugo's a nice everyday caliber player. Graterol, you wonder about the injury history. He missed a lot of time this year with shoulder issues. You wonder about the starter-reliever question. It was pretty questionable whether or not, it was never going to be fair value for Betts, but it was questionable whether it was even respectable value for Betts, and the answer was probably not. This adjusted trade is much better because you're still getting Verdugo, but you're also getting Jeter, Downs, and Connor Wong. There's a chance the Red Sox got 3 future everyday players in this deal. Verdugo, for sure. Downs should be an everyday infielder. And Wong has a chance to be an everyday catcher. He's probably going to end up more being like a part-timer who provides some power. And he's actually a really good athlete. He's a pretty good second baseman and third baseman as well when he pops out there. So getting 3 solid position players, all who finish the year at AA or above and should be able to help in the next year or two minimum, that's a much better deal for the Red Sox than the one they originally struck.
So you're saying because knowing that Mookie Betts is one of the best outfielders that MLB has to offer at this point, do you think knowing if this is 100% finalized, do you think the Dodgers can find a way to redeem themselves over the past few years, especially coming off that loss they had in the World Series 2 years ago to the Astros? Do you think there's some ways that Mookie Betts can offer some huge takeaways within that team if it's a done deal?
Oh, well, obviously. I mean, he's a tremendous talent. One thing the Dodgers have lacked the last few years is a right-handed bat, and outside of really Justin Turner, they acquired and they reacquired Matt Kemp a few years ago. They had Yasiel Puig. We've seen them swing trades for right-handed bats really the last couple of trade deadlines. You'll remember they went and got Manny Machado, but also David Freese and Brian Dozier at various points. Getting that impact right-handed bat to really lead the way in a very lefty-heavy lineup. Again, right now it's mostly Justin Turner was the only other impact right-handed bat they had. It's going to help, and he's a tremendous talent. On top of that, David Price, I think there's still something left in the tank. It was only 2 years ago he had a really strong season and an incredible postseason. He still struck out almost 11 per 9 last year. There's still something in there. Health is just obviously a concern with him. And I actually think the Dodgers did better in this revamped deal as well, because you're getting those two players, but you're also reportedly getting Graterol, who for, all his faults. I didn't love Graterol for the Red Sox. I like Graterol for the Dodgers because they can just stick him in the bullpen and say, go blow it out. The Dodgers needed bullpen help. I think they acquired that with Graterol, and they got a draft pick on top of it. So I think the rejiggered deal actually works really, really well for both the Dodgers and Red Sox. It's a better deal than the original one.
And how effective will the Red Sox be? So off of these deals, knowing that they work together, they coordinated some deals between the Dodgers and the Red Sox. So where do you think the Boston Red Sox will go here on forward? Because knowing that they traded away a few players, how do you think they can, fend off of this deal?
Yeah, I mean, I think, again, it's a better deal than the original one they struck, but this doesn't make them a better team. I mean, they still are a team that had a chance to compete with Mookie Betts and potentially with a healthy David Price in the rotation. Subtracting those two, it's really tough to see a path for this team to compete in a very, very difficult American League East. You've taken your best player away off the field. This rotation was not strong to begin with. And now you've removed Price from it without, putting back in an immediate, plug-in type of guy. Again, I think they'll still be, respectable. Anytime you have Xander Bogaerts, Rafael Devers, Andrew Benintendi, J.D. Martinez, you're going to score some runs. They still have some pitchers who are okay. Eduardo Rodriguez is talented. Chris Sale's still around. We'll see if Nate Eovaldi can stay healthy. They're not going to be terrible, but I think they were a team that had a chance to compete, maybe get to 90, 92, 93 wins. It's a team that's now probably going to settle into that 83, 84 win range and, be pretty far out of the race, just because I think the Yankees are going to be a 100, 102, 103 win team.
Yeah, speaking of the Yankees, that was a good point, because speaking of the Yankees, I mean, everybody knows that they acquired Garrett Cole shortly after the World Series. So how do you think the bullpen's going to look for the Yankees coming out, especially out of spring training?
I mean, they can make it look however they want. Look, Aroldis Chapman is going to be the guy at the end of games. We know that. But, you have Chad Green, you have Adam Ottavino, you have Tommy Kahnle, you have Zach Britton, even Luis Sessa does some good things. They have some hard-throwing young guys. If Jonathan Loaiziga and Albert Abreu can stay healthy, those are two other, nice players to have. And this is a Yankees bullpen they can do whatever they want, so many different options, so many different matchups, and that's going to give them a real advantage. And also, so many of these guys aren't limited to just being pure specialists, especially with the new 3-batter minimum rule. These are guys who can go out and get lefties out, get righties out. The Yankees right now are uniquely built bullpen-wise, I think, to survive this new rule better than a lot of other teams.
And what teams do you think are going to be suffering starting off in the spring training? Because, I mean, there's big news about, the Astros. They had that cheating scandal going on for the past few months. They've been talking about and investigating on. So, I mean, there's recent news that Alex Bregman and Jose Altuve didn't really exactly apologize when questioned a few weeks back about the team's fan festival. So how do you think the Astros look? Because, there's fans out there predicting that the Astros can still have what it takes to, go far or deep into the postseason and possibly another World Series visit.
Yeah, look, the talent on the field is still there, right? You're still talking about a team that has, Carlos Correa, Jose Altuve, Alex Bregman, George Springer, Michael Brantley, Josh Reddick, Yordan Alvarez came up and was, a modern-day Willie McCovey. I think he's a future Carlos Delgado type of player. Kyle Tucker came up. He looks like a nice young player. And, oh, by the way, you still have Justin Verlander, Zach Greinke at the front of that rotation, Lance McCullers Jr. coming back. This is still a really, really talented team. It's just going to be about kind of how they navigate everything that's going to be surrounding them this year. All eyes are going to be on them. Everything they do is going to be scrutinized to the nth degree. And, we'll have to see. I mean, the hitters, I think, fair or not, there's now the question of, okay, are these guys really as good as they showed the last 3 years, or are they just benefiting from sign stealing? They're not going to be trying to pull anything this year, because if they are, people are going to face some serious consequences. So I still think this is a really good team. You look at the names, you look at the track records, this is absolutely, to me, the favorite still in the American League West. But the caveat is, if all of a sudden we start seeing these guys really struggle offensively and realize, hey, they were really benefiting from the sign stealing more than maybe their true talent level showed, we have to adjust. That's where things can maybe change.
And speaking of that, how do you feel about Dusty Baker being their new manager?
I love it. I think he was the exact right pick for them. He should have been hired by a couple other teams as well. Dusty Baker is a great, great guy to get you to the postseason, keep you on an even keel, really connect with players both young and old. Dusty Baker is a great, great regular season manager. When the playoffs show up, the tactical shortcomings really rear their ugly head, and he'll do something to manage you right out of the postseason. That's his biggest shortfall. But if you're a team that's trying to, stabilize the ship a little bit and, try and just be on an even keel, have kind of a respectable face of the franchise type as your manager, he was the exact right pick for this team in this situation, and I'm glad he gets another shot.
Yeah, cause that definitely gives Astros fans hope right there, because knowing that, what that fallout between A.J. Hinch and everything like that, especially that entire debacle, it just definitely shows that they still have what it takes. And Dusty Baker does have a long history with the MLB, so to see him just show up to like a powerhouse team like the Astros really does benefit them, in the near future. But so what do you think? Because when you look at the AL West, like obviously you have the Astros up top. I know it's like looking at these articles of ESPN, they had the Angels on there, like as a level of excitement for level 4 for a level of excitement. So they're like basically a few steps behind the Astros. So how do you feel about the Angels on the step of knowing that they're the other team in Southern California besides the Dodgers?
They've definitely done a lot to get better this year. Anytime you add Anthony Rendon, they acquired some good innings eaters and Julio Teheran and Dylan Bundy, which they badly needed. They also got some rules going their way in terms of Shohei Ohtani, in terms of just the two-way player designation eligibility and his ability to kind of rehab as a pitcher while continuing to hit. They had a lot of things go their way this offseason. Again, nothing's official yet. The reports that they stepped back from the deal that would have gotten them Jock Peterson and Ross Stripling at very little cost is a little bit puzzling to me. I think that's a deal they really should re-engage on if they really do want to contend for a postseason spot. To me, the team that's actually the Astros' biggest threat is the Athletics. They've been to the playoffs back-to-back years. They're getting A.J. Puck and Jesus Luzardo full-time into the rotation potentially. A lot of their young players are a year older, a year wiser. Matt Chapman, Matt Olson, that catcher Sean Murphy has a chance to be great if he can stay healthy. Ramon Laureano has quietly become not just a defensive standout, but a really good all-around player as well at the plate too. The A's, to me, are the Astros' biggest threat, and I could see people picking them to beat the Astros outright and win the AL West. I think that's very, very possible.
Yeah, I know the Oakland A's have been a threat pretty much like for the past few years too for the Houston Astros, and then in the postseason it seems like they kind of like breezed their way through to the World Series this past season. But I know the Yankees did give them trouble, but they were able to obviously prevail, and to see like just them come, especially hitting like basically nearly rock bottom. You have to go through a change, you have to get a new manager, and I mean to see them just get exposed for sign stealing that happened a couple of years back, it's just definitely a tough blow for them. So to see them try to resurrect themselves from this situation will probably be definitely ideal for them. And then I noticed there's another team, the other team that's in Texas, obviously the Texas Rangers, and that's a team that hasn't really been dominant since the early 2010s when they had those World Series visits, but they lost unfortunately. But to see them, like, do you ever see like a future in this team? Like, can you see them possibly working their way back up the ladder like they used to be in the early 2010s?
So a lot can change in 3 years. So I'm always skeptical of people saying, oh, a team, they're not going to win for 5 or 6 years. I will say when you kind of map them out, what they currently have in their organization, it's hard to really pick them to jump ahead of the Athletics or the Angels anytime in the foreseeable future. Now, the Astros, it's a little different because they have some contracts that are going to, some players that are going to start getting very expensive, some guys who are getting a little bit older on the pitching side. So, you can see maybe the Astros, depending on how things fall, especially not having first-round picks these next couple of years, taking a step back, 3-4 years from now. But I expect the A's and Angels to kind of ascend to the top of that group. The Rangers are a team in a bit of a weird spot. They've had 3 straight losing seasons. They don't have a great farm system. There's not like there's a lot of really good guys on their way up. They've traded away some of their better young players. I thought the Nomar Mazara deal was one of the worst the team did this entire offseason. I don't really see a clear path for them, given what they currently have in their organization, to contending in the AL West again. Now, again, maybe they hit on 2 or 3 big draft picks and make a really wise signing and have a couple trades go their way, and all of a sudden that outlook changes. But as of today, it's tough to foresee them really finishing better than third place, ahead of the A's and Angels, 3 years down the road.
Yeah, because they're usually just a few spots under in order to make a playoff run, and it happened this year. They were just a few spots short, and actually it might have been like about maybe 5 to 10 games behind the next guy in line. So I noticed that the Rangers, because, Rangers fans, obviously they obviously have their new park coming in Arlington, and it just seems like they just want to make redeem themselves over the past few years, because the Astros have definitely been dominant in the state of Texas when it comes to Major League Baseball. And I noticed, another big question I noticed that was trending in the MLB is for the Colorado Rockies, because, there was questions asking if Nolan Arenado will be traded. Do you think he could be traded possibly?
It's very possible, especially with rumors of discord